You're standing in the produce aisle. Your cart is half full. Your grocery bill is climbing again. You reach for a bundle of greens, fresh, bright, tied with a rubber band. You can buy it. You can take it home. You can cook it tonight. But if you plant a single stem in your backyard, you face federal charges. Meanwhile, 3 billion people on the other side of the planet eat this every single day. This is not a drug. This is not a poison. This is a leafy green vegetable with 3 times more iron than the spinach you just paid $4.99 for. It has more vitamin C than an orange. And it grows in conditions that would drown your entire garden. Your spinach wilts in the fridge after 3 days. This plant grows 4 inches in 24 hours. Your kale needs careful soil, consistent watering, protection from pests. This plant grows in mud, in water, in flooded ditches where nothing else survives. You spent $40 this month on greens that came from 1,500 miles away, shipped in plastic, losing nutrients by the hour. Half the world grows this in their backyard for free. They harvest it every week. They've been doing it for 2,000 years. And in 47 American states, growing it without a federal permit is illegal. The official reason? 4 words: potential aquatic invasive species. Here's what they don't tell you. You can't patent a plant that grows from cuttings. You can't sell someone seeds every spring when the plant regenerates from a fragment you toss in water. You can't sell fertilizer to a crop that extracts nitrogen directly from a pond. You can't create dependency when one purchase lasts forever. The industrial food system requires you to stay a customer. This plant opts out of that entire model. It grows without asking permission. It spreads without requiring a transaction. It feeds without creating debt. That's the crime. In 2020, your grocery store shelves emptied, prices spiked, supply chains fractured. You saw what happens when the system fails. But across Southeast Asia, in backyards and canals and flooded rice paddies, this plant kept growing. It didn't care about logistics. It didn't need trucks or cold storage or distribution networks. It just grew. Then it vanished from American soil, not because it failed, because it worked too well and broke the business model. The bundle is sitting in the produce aisle right now, and nobody told you why. Let's talk about what this plant actually does. It doesn't need soil. It doesn't need fertilizer. It doesn't need pesticides. You give it water and sun, and it produces food continuously for months. One cutting becomes 10 plants in 30 days. The stems are hollow. They float. The nodes root on contact. Drop a fragment in a pond, and it colonizes 100 feet of waterway in a single growing season. From an ecological perspective, that's a problem. From a food security perspective, that's a solution. It's in every market from Hanoi to Manila. Street vendors in Bangkok serve it before sunrise. In the Philippines, grandmothers cook it every Tuesday. In China, it's been on the table for 2,000 years. But in Texas, having it in your pond can get you raided by federal agents. The USDA added it to the Federal Noxious Weed List in 1973, right between hydrilla and salvinia. The justification was 4 words long. The consequences lasted 50 years. And here's the part nobody explains. The plant they banned outperforms the plant they sell you, in every category, by every measure. It's called Ong Choy. You might know it as water spinach. Welcome to Forgotten Nature Vault, where we dig up the living systems modern life taught you to forget. Ong Choy. Hollow stems, arrow-shaped leaves. It floats and roots at the same time. It's not a weed. It's a survival technology. Southeast Asia, roughly 3,000 years ago. The monsoon floods the rice paddies. Most crops drown. But in the margins, in the irrigation ditches, in the spaces between controlled fields, Ong Choy thrives. It wasn't planted as a luxury. It was insurance. Southern China, Vietnam, Thailand, the Philippines. Indigenous communities didn't fight the water. They ate what grew in it. And Ong Choy could be harvested every 7 to 10 days. No replanting, no waiting for a season, just continuous yield. The nutritional profile: high in vitamin A, iron, calcium. It grows in brackish water. It needs no fertilizer. It survives where nothing else does. During the dry season, you grow rice. During the floods, you grow Ong Choy. That's how you survive 2,000 years of monsoons. It came to America in the late 1800s, carried by Chinese and Southeast Asian immigrants. It thrived in California. It spread through the Gulf Coast waterways. It grew in ditches and ponds and anywhere water pooled. And for a few decades, it fed the people who knew what it was. Then, in 1973, the USDA made a decision. A single classification. A regulatory update that most Americans never heard about. Ong Choy was added to the Federal Noxious Weed List. And just like that, a 3,000-year-old food system became a federal crime. 1973. The USDA publishes an updated Federal Noxious Weed List. Ong Choy appears under its scientific name, Ipomoea aquatica. The justification: spreads rapidly through waterway systems, regenerates from stem fragments, difficult to control once established. Listen to that again. Difficult to control once established. That's not a safety warning. That's a business problem. The industrial vegetable model works like this. You buy seeds every spring. You buy fertilizer every month. You buy pesticides when the bugs show up. You stay a customer season after season, purchase after purchase. Ong Choy breaks that cycle. It doesn't need seeds. It grows from cuttings. It doesn't need fertilizer. It pulls nitrogen from water. It doesn't need pesticides. It grows faster than most pests can damage it. And it doesn't need you to buy it again, because one bundle from the grocery store can propagate indefinitely. You can't build a supply chain around a plant that opts out of the supply chain. State-level bans followed. Texas, Florida, Arizona, California. 47 states in total classified Ong Choy as prohibited or restricted. Growing it without a permit became a federal offense under the Plant Protection Act. Fines ranged from $1,000 to $250,000. In some cases, criminal charges. Extension offices stopped researching it. Universities stopped teaching it. Seed companies never cataloged it. It disappeared from agricultural literature. The stigma did the rest. Aquatic weed. Invasive. Uncontrollable. Words designed to make you afraid of a vegetable. The immigrant communities lost access to a staple food they'd grown for generations. The knowledge didn't transfer. Younger generations never learned to cultivate it. Meanwhile, Americans became more dependent on spinach, kale, and chard, crops that require land prep, chemical inputs, and cross-country shipping. Ong Choy grows in flooded conditions. The American South faces increasing flood events every year. Crop insurance payouts have increased over 300% in the past 2 decades. And the one plant evolutionarily optimized to produce food in exactly those conditions is classified as a federal crime. We're engineering flood-resistant corn while banning a vegetable that already solved the problem 2,000 years ago. You felt it in 2020 when the shelves emptied. You feel it every month when the grocery bill climbs. You feel it when the spinach you bought 3 days ago is already rotting in the crisper drawer. That feeling, that you're one supply chain failure away from going hungry, that's not paranoia, that's design. They built a system where you stay dependent, where you keep buying, where you never learn to grow your own. This channel exists because some of us refuse to stay customers forever. If that's you, subscribe. And send this to someone who's tired of being hungry by design. The federal classification remains. Permits are expensive and rare. Most states require proof that your growing system cannot connect to natural waterways, an impossible standard for most home growers. Grocery stores stock it, but they won't tell you it propagates from cuttings. There's no commercial seed infrastructure. No extension office will teach you how to grow it. The liability alone keeps it out of mainstream agriculture. Recent studies from the 2000s and 10s confirm what 3 billion people already knew. Ong Choy has high antioxidant content, significant iron and vitamin A levels, and poses minimal contamination risk when grown in clean, controlled water systems. Aquaponics operations and permaculture communities across Asia and Africa use it as a staple crop. It works. If you're in a state that allows contained cultivation, here's how it works. Buy a fresh bundle from any Asian grocery store. Look for stems with visible nodes, the small bumps where roots emerge. Cut 6-inch sections. Place them in a container of water, nodes submerged. Within 5 to 7 days, roots appear. Grow in closed systems only. Indoor hydroponics, aquaponic tanks, in elevated containers with no ground contact. Water temperature between 75 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit. At least 6 hours of sunlight. Harvest by cutting stems 4 inches above the waterline. The plant regenerates in 2 to 3 weeks. One purchase. Infinite cuttings, perpetual harvest. That's what terrifies the supply chain. We're facing water scarcity, soil loss, food insecurity. It feeds without asking for chemicals. It survives where industrial crops drown. It asks only for water and sun. Picture a single stem floating in a jar. Roots spreading. New leaves emerging. That's not a weed. That's a choice. This is Forgotten Nature Vault. Send this to one person who would actually use it.